Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Some of My Jokes Don't Land, and I can't even believe we are here. We are in the 18th episode of the second season, and it feels really weird that how this all started during this pandemic. First of all, I would like to say sorry because I think the last episode dropped like almost half a month ago. I haven't been doing anything since that time because so the last episode was shot on the 13th of November, if I'm not wrong, and then today is something in December. Obviously, I have taken a very long break, and there's a reason for it. So basically, what happened is that my birthday was on the 15th, so obviously I wasn't going to do anything. And then so many things happened. People were here in my house. There's a big puja here. I felt sick. So many things happened. Anyway, finally I'm here, and to be really honest, taking a break is the hardest thing because you don't want to come back, but we have 3 more episodes to go and we have to finish it before the year ends, and I think I only have 3 more weeks to go, so it's fantastic because this episode is very, very special. Now obviously the clue of my podcast is I've already given out what I'm planning to do here because I've already showcased on my social media what I'm doing, but this episode actually came after a lot of thought. So initially when I was trying to again start from the break and record this, I came up with various topics. First of all, there's a topic that I had prepared that I was willing to do for this week. Even before the first episode was shot, I planned it out, and to be really honest, everything I've planned this year for this season specifically, nothing has stuck to the plan because I wasn't feeling like doing a particular topic, then something else happened or something was not relevant back then. So everything that I made up before recording the show, I had to scrap that and come up on things on the fly. Like the last podcast, the comedy one, I literally 1 hour before the shoot I thought, okay, let's do comedy because I want to talk about it. And similarly, this topic is another topic that happened quite the same way, but I'm extremely comfortable and I'm really excited about it. To be really honest, I wasn't happy with the comedy podcast for some reason. I don't know. I thought that I didn't say so many things, I didn't express how I felt, but I think this is going to be different because of so many things. And yes, the topic for this episode is magic, and kind of weird topic, I know, but magic is in my life in so many ways, and this is, to be really honest, let me be very clear, magic in the sense true magic is nothing I know, no witchcraft, nothing. I'm talking about the profession of a magician and that magic, stage magic, sleight of hand magic, and rest of the stuff. These are things I'm very, very excited to talk about because it has been a very big part of my life. People who are really close to me know that I'm very much into it. Like I take gifts of decks of cards and stuff on my birthday rather than any other things. But this is something I don't publicize, so people might not know. And I thought I really wanted to speak of it. Now, on the surface, it might look very boring and stuff, but let me guide you through of how I got into magic and what happened. And that's this episode. I'll be talking about lots and lots of magic related stuff, why I fell in love with it, and why I continue to do stuff here and there about it. So that's it, guys. Today's episode is all about magic, and this is the 18th episode. I'm so happy. We have only 2 more to go, and I can't be any more excited to start this. So this is Some of My Jokes Don't Land. I am Ayan. Let's get this started. Come on. Hey guys, thanks for staying and thanks for being part of this family, part of this podcast, part of this YouTube channel, no matter where you are listening. First of all, thank you to anybody listening to me on audio platforms. I know this season has not been great audio wise. I finally gotten the audio setup I really wanted. Like, I had this mic for 3 weeks, but I couldn't record because I was not finding the proper position. You saw the mic here, that wasn't working for me. Now I think it's finally sorted. And let's get into the episode, guys. I'm talking about magic over here, and magic has been a very, very big motivator in my life, and I'll tell you why. So the fascination of magic came at a very early age, because I think magic is very, very, very fascinating and interesting. I know that magicians are considered to be dorks and nerds, but when you see something very magical, it's probably the most mind-blowing thing for you. And as a kid, it was probably the most fascinating thing for me. So the most important thing happened was that everybody knew of magic, that magic existed. I think from a very early age I knew that magic wasn't real and people are doing tricks and stuff. But I think around the 6th grade, when I was in the 6th grade, there was this television show on Nickelodeon known as Tricky TV, and there's this guy called Stephen Muller. Now, I got to know his name pretty late, but he kind of, back then, to me at least, looked like Leonardo DiCaprio. And I had recently seen Titanic, and I thought, fuck, this guy is from Titanic and he's teaching magic. For anybody who is not a kid who grew up in that era where Nickelodeon was very popular, Tricky TV was a great show. The guy went on streets, did magic, and then showed how to do it. It was Stephen Muller only, he was doing it. Later he became a judge on, I think, BGT, and that's where I was like, oh my god, he exists here also, that's great. Anyway, so Stephen Muller was the guy who taught magic to me that time, and it was very, very interesting. I still remember few of the first tricks I learned to do, and learning to do tricks was the exciting part that I fell in love with, because it involved something that you can blow people's mind just by doing a trick. You don't have to sing well, you don't have to dance well. There's something you can practice, you can make literally with your own arms, with your own hands, and you can blow people's mind. Let me tell you, if you have ever done any kind of small, big, any kind of magic, the excitement of seeing somebody's mind being blown away by what you did is one of the most addictive feelings. And I just got like this, it got into me like this, and I just wanted to do again and again. To be very, very honest, never in my life have I ever thought of becoming like professional on-stage magician or something, but the concept of learning magic and doing creative stuff with it has always been around my mind. I don't want to incorporate it anyway. It is something I do for myself. I enjoy it. I do it for my friends. I want to keep it to that, but I can't stop watching and learning about it. Anyway, so that was Tricky TV. Let me tell you a very interesting thing. Now it is winter. I think you all know that the first season started in summer during the prime time of lockdown. It was sweaty as fuck because I couldn't turn my fans on, and now it's cold as fuck and there's so many mosquitoes, and I will still prefer this because I hate sweating. When I was a child, I was so much into magic that I remember that I loved winters because I would get to wear coats and jackets, and that would mean that I get to conceal more stuff. And looking at it now, that only tells how much I was into magic. I wasn't into the holidays part, wasn't into the Christmas part. I was just fascinated that I'd learned a trick that required a jacket and I could do that, and that's why I waited for Christmas. At least for 2 years, I thought, during the 5th, 6th, 7th, I think those times I did. Let me tell you the trick also. This trick I learned exclusively from Tricky TV, and it was very exciting. That trick was very interesting actually. It was that there's a pen in your hand, and when you do this, it would vanish. And the trick was that you have to prepare a elastic kind of a thing with multiple rubber bands. And then you have to tie that string on your sleeve, and then you wear a jacket, and from the arm of the jacket you take the string out, and then on the tip of the string you tie the pen. Now it's elastic, so if you let go, the pen will immediately go inside your arm, right? And I would do that, and I would freak people out, and I only waited to perfect that trick. I remember as a kid, there was another trick that required you to fold a piece of paper, and inside that paper you have to stick a coin, and then you turn it around, and when you open it again, the coin is gone. The trick is that there are two pockets basically. You turn while showing, and the other pocket is on the another side, and this is a trick that you could make. There's another trick that Tricky TV taught, where you take a glass, you you place a paper napkin on it, and then you do 1, 2, 3, and anything you place under will vanish, and then you can even squeeze the paper and the glass will also vanish. It was also another awesome trick that I had learned, and trust me, for somebody who didn't go out much and was very to himself, and like I used to play sports a lot, but still these are the things that kept me involved. I didn't read much books, as I've told before. I saw movies, but these are the stuff that I could practically do with my arms. And cards, like I think I have thousands of decks I have burnt, I have torn them apart. If you follow me on social media, you know how I have been breaking decks of cards right from the middle. Now I know it's a very insane thing. I don't do this intentionally. I do this trick that I learned over this period, which is a one-hand shuffle. It looks really cool. I'll come to it. And for that, you have to do it constantly to get practice. And what it does is it creases the cards from the center and it makes them brittle. And if you do it multiple times, the cards will just break from the middle. Anyway, so that was actually my first introduction to magic. I remember going to my uncle's place, showing magics to anybody who would come and see me. It was very uplifting because I knew I had a sense of stage performance fright at that time, and these things helped me overcome it. To be really honest, I always wanted to perform, and growing up my idols were like Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury. It's very hard to worship them and not be drawn to the stage, drawn to perform, because they are probably the greatest performers. But I wasn't a good singer or dancer. Later in my life I found out that I can at least speak like this. But those times, my first performances, if you count, rather than let's say singing performances that you do in a choir or a basic drama that you do as a child, these are the things that I was learning on myself, and I was doing it. And this was before I had internet at my house, to be honest. And when internet came, it was like boom, like explosion of information. I can't even tell what happened, because so many things I could learn. Everything I know today is because of the internet, and I will always be thankful to it. For me, the greatest invention of this century is the internet, which is true also, I feel. But that's it. So magic happened there. I used to perform for my family and for my immediate close friends. I didn't do it in school much because you weren't allowed to take stuff to school to perform. And I wasn't great at this was basic kid magic that you do, making balls disappear, making things disappear. Anyway, so during that time, what happened was that I knew of two magicians. First was PC Sarkar, who is from West Bengal and is widely known. I had never seen any of his stuff, but I know he exists. Another guy who I know was David Copperfield. Now, David Copperfield was somebody who I had never ever seen on television, because he was way before my time. Like, he was at least way relevant before my time. And then what happened was that I didn't see anything of him. To be really honest, the first few things that I saw on TV that attracted me towards magic was Criss Angel and David Blaine. Criss Angel, for people who don't know, is basically what if a magician was a rock star and he did a show that was very similar to Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but for magic. That was his show, and I can't even tell how good it was for a kid. First of all, his intro music, for anybody who remembers, was a rock song called I Am the Mindfreak, and the name of his show was Mindfreak also. And I was very, very, very fascinated to watch his work, because what happened was that most of his work was in Las Vegas. He used to do street magic and big magic, but the most important part of his entire segments of anything he would do is that levitation. He would do small card tricks here and there, but his main big stunts were levitation. There's a Luxor hotel in Las Vegas which is shaped like a pyramid, and his greatest, I think, performance that I saw, which is still mind-blowing, I recently saw it, is him levitating on top of the Luxor building. Now, these are the things I saw as a kid. I saw David Blaine, I will come in a bit because I have so much more to talk about him. Criss Angel is somebody who I loved when I was growing up. Then I extremely like got out of touch. I didn't see anything. I'm pretty sure if I see him live, which I want to, and everybody's name I'm taking, I want to see them live perform, because I think magic, when you see them live, is something else. I feel I have never seen a very good magic show, to be really honest, but I want to see. Okay, so as a child, the Criss Angel was somebody who I was really into because he was on television. Another Indian guy who was very popular was Yogesh Sarkar's Third Degree. I don't know if you know him. He used to come on Bindas and he used to do street magic. Now, before going into anything, I would like to talk about who that guy is in the picture. It's basically Harry Houdini, and I even put his picture up on social media to see if people can guess. I don't know if they have guessed by now because I have just put up the story, so probably few of them will guess it. But Harry Houdini is somebody who is considered to be the greatest magician or inception of magic. For me, I'm pretty sure I have never seen Harry Houdini. I don't think anybody in our generation has. But who I can credit to be the pioneer of most stuff is David Copperfield. Now, for anybody who doesn't know who David Copperfield is as a magician, let me tell you this way. He's the guy who got the concept of popularizing stage magic. Now, stage magic is about caskets and boxes and strings and lights, but he brought a sense of cinematic sense to it. If you see any of his performances, just go and see his performance of Snow. It's like Shah Rukh Khan doing magic. It's just like that. He has a story, he has a structure, he will bring the emotional elements, and he had biggest set pieces ever performed by any magician. So today, if you see anybody perform magic, there's a huge chance part of their performance, part of their live bit is directly copied from David Copperfield. Now, he has very, very big stunts. First of all, let me tell you how old he is, first of all. Like in 1983, the year India won the World Cup, he did his signature stunt, which is vanishing the Statue of Liberty. Before that, he had made planes disappeared. He has escaped from Alcatraz as a tribute to Houdini. He has jumped from a waterfall, from a casket. He has this great special. These are all comedy, like there are comedy specials, there are magic specials that magicians come up with, and I think I'll be recommending a few. I don't know the names of them, to be really honest. I'll pull up visuals, and people who are listening on audio, please just search the name, you will get their specials. Anyway, so David Copperfield has this extremely good bit where he escapes from a demolishing building and the whole thing is one shot. And I think even he speaks of it at an interview or something. I think GQ magazine did an interview with him, and even there he speaks about how that was a brilliant thing. He got viral because he vanished the Statue of Liberty, but he was really technically the special where he came out of a demolishing building, like it was about to be demolished the moment he came out, like there was a timer and he had to run or something like that. I don't remember it now. There's a long shot, and these long shot one takes or the oneers that are cinematically known, they were not very popular, to be honest, and right after he did it became really popular and they were being used in films and stuff. So you can technically give a bit of credit to him, to David Copperfield, for popularizing these oneers. Yeah, so basically that was David Copperfield. Now moving on, like I said, okay, let's not move on. I think there are too many things about him to discuss. David Copperfield is the guy who, like I said, inspired everybody. Now he has multiple of techniques. There's a very good act he has done where he has traveled between the Great Wall of China, and if you listen to him speak, he talks about them in details. This is a very funny thing that happened recently. It wasn't actually funny, it was actually pretty bad, to be really honest, but in one of his shows somebody got hurt, and an audience member, and he took him to court, and David Copperfield had to explain one of his tricks to justify that he did nothing wrong. So he had to reveal the secret basically. Anyway, so that was David Copperfield. Now moving on, the next magician that I would like to speak about is David Blaine. So stage magic is that. Stage magic I'm actually not a very big fan of. To be really honest, I never got into it. The only reason why I got into David Copperfield and that showy and flamboyancy of magic is because of the historic impact he has. He's great in all those ways, but for me, I really like sleight of hand stuff. I also hated mentalism to an extent. Then I got into it because of a very specific guy. I'll talk about him. But let's talk about David Blaine. I think his first special was about street magic, and the way he approached street magic at the earlier stages in his career was very, very great. You can still see clips of him performing on the streets of New York, and they are amazing. Like, there are actual true interactions, there are nothing set up, people are crossing the frame, and he's doing things with very minimum stuff. And later on his life, he was also known for set pieces. If you are aware of his recent YouTube original stunt Ascension, where he basically did a stunt. It's not magic, it's magical that a person is doing it, but it's, to be really honest, a very highly coordinated stunt. He basically tied himself to multiple balloons, flew to like 30,000 feet, and then jumped with the parachute. Visually it looks great because it's like that flying house from up, but it's a stunt. It's like Tom Cruise jumping out of an airplane 4,000 times, practicing it and then perfecting the skill. It's basically similar. You can also listen to him speak about it in details, like multiple places, but the Joe Rogan podcast obviously was very good. Like, I heard it through and through. He even does two of his famous tricks on that show. One is where he puts an ice pick through his hand, and the another where he basically takes a frog out of his mouth, and both of them are actual things he does. So later on his life, what happened is he used to do these stunts. There's this famous TEDx thing where he was inside water for 17 minutes. There was this thing where he was buried alive, then he was buried in snow, covered in ice, so many things. And these are things of him taking a human body to its extreme. There's nothing gimmicky about it. There's nothing false. I think probably a bit or so, but I'm pretty sure 70% of it is him doing those things for real. Especially the last two things that I said, like swallowing a frog and bringing it back, or piercing your hand through an ice pick. Those tricks, those are absolutely real. It can be done actually if a human practices it. And that's very, very fascinating. But what I really like about him is his service to close-up and street magic. Let's say what David Copperfield did for stage magic, he did for street magic. The concept of a guy walking up to you on a street and performing quick magic was popularized by him. And then another guy, he's a British dude, obviously I think everybody knows of him, Dynamo. Dynamo also did a great thing. I think Dynamo's first performance, if you see, I think it's the first time ever on camera he did something, which was he walked on the river Thames. Now Criss Angel has done it before. Criss Angel has walked on water, but it was on a swimming pool. It was also decoded on a very popular show that I would speak about later. But Dynamo walks on the river Thames, and it's very, very great because of two things. If you compare the both things of Criss Angel's episode, like I said, which was like an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians because of the hype and drama, and you can't get permits, something is wrong, but in the end everything occurs, but still there's a rock star feel about it. In Dynamo's thing, if you see the video, it's basically people walking around here and there, and suddenly he starts walking on water right from the get-go. There's no build-up, nothing. That casualty gives it such a brilliant feel. I can't even tell you guys, because I'll tell you why I love magic, but let me explain Dynamo first. So Dynamo did that, and he got insanely popular. Now after that, I think you guys have seen his videos. If you haven't, please check it out. He's great with what he does. I don't think his style is very different from David Blaine's. It's just that David Blaine's done like this pushing the body stuff to its extremes, but he sticks to card magic or simple other forms of magic, but mostly close-up related stuff, not extreme stage magic. I don't think that's his set of expertise, or I think he doesn't want to do that. It's great. But let me get into why I love magic. Okay. And the love for magic actually started much later in life. I was very fascinated with it, but then I started incorporating things from the world of magic to my daily life, like at least few stuff. So I wanted to become a filmmaker. I still do. Like, I want to become one. And I think there's something very similar on those lines, because both are about performing. I love performing, like I said, and I also like crafting stories. And magic is a perfect combination of that. In 2013, I saw this TEDx talk by Apollo Robbins, sorry. And the name of the TEDx video, if you want to check out, I'll put it out visuals right now. But the name of the thing was, I think, The Mastery of Distraction, or The Art of Distraction. And distraction is very key in films also. Distractions is very important, because if you're distracting someone, it means you have the grasp of the audience at that point, and that is very important for making films also. You have to have the grasp of the audience at a particular thing. You can misdirect something else, but you have to hold an audience. And if you're distracting them, it means you have already held them pretty much the entire time. So these things actually are things I'm very interested in, and that TEDx talk actually got me more into it. And then I started learning about these things, about how to hold an audience, how to interact with them. And if you want to see that TEDx talk, please do. I think it's one of my most favorite TEDx things. He talks about how you can distract a person, distract somebody, and that's how actually I got into pure mentalism things. Like, not deeply, I genuinely didn't like. I liked Apollo Robbins this thing. I learned that magic is something which can also influence human behavior. It's not about moving a card from here to there, or making something appear, or making something vanish. Not all those things. It's about human emotions, and how you can capture human movements, and how can you direct them to something else while you are doing something here. So that is very interesting. I'll give you a brief of the TEDx talk if you don't want to see. It's very amazing. Also, if you want to see, don't watch from here. Go walk, see that, and come back. I hope you have seen that, or if you haven't, then I'll tell you now. So basically, in that he tells that how there's a guy called Frank in our head. He's like a security guard, and he's constantly watching for things. That is basically us, our concentration on things. If I'm pointing to my hand, I'm looking at it, and Frank is looking at it. If I think of something, Frank goes back and checks his file cabinets, and that time you can do anything. There's a moment of thing where you're not paying attention, basically, where you can distract your inner Frank to look for something, and you can do something else. And that is a very cool way of how he explained it. Obviously, I'm murdering what he said, but those were on those lines. And there's a very great thing that happens at the start and at the end, which is the best things. I think I shouldn't reveal it, but that sold me more, that how you can actually control human emotions. Okay, let me just say it for anybody who don't want to listen. At the very start, he asks everybody to, he interacts with them for like 2-3 seconds or 2-3 minutes actually. Then he asks everybody to close their eyes and asks everybody to guess if they can guess what he's wearing. And few people get it wrong, but when they open their eyes, they know what he's wearing. He was wearing a purple shirt or something. At the very end, he asks that again, but he says, now you can keep your eyes open. And they're seeing that he has completely changed his clothing, and the audience hadn't figured it out till now. Throughout his performance, somewhere he distracted the audience and changed his shirt mainly. The audience couldn't figure it out. So that was a very massive example of how minor distractions can work miracles when revealed in the end. And that was one of the very fascinating things that got me into how magic can affect human behavior. And if you study magic, there's a high chance you also can study how humans behave, how to have their attention, how to use it in a good way and give them more satisfaction and more joy. I think it is very magical. Also, knowledge is very magical. Imagine if you know somebody really well, and you tell them let's say you know what their favorite movie was, which they shared with you, let's say 6 years ago, but you still remember it. If you meet them again, like let's say 12 years later, and then through somehow during a conversation, you bring up that you can guess your favorite movie. Now that person might have forgotten that they had ever shared this with you, but if you remember something like that and say, let me guess, is it this? I think they'll be pretty shocked. So even information can act as magic sometimes if you can retain information. I think that is another thing that I am really proud of, that I try to do, that I want to retain information. I try to be as knowledgeable as I can. This podcast is basically a way to keep me going about what I'm learning, because if I have to make new episodes, I obviously have to learn new stuff, and that is actually the key aim of the podcast. Often, I don't know, people still now don't get the name of the podcast. It's Some of My Jokes Don't Land, obviously. And I think I have explained the motive behind the naming 1,000 times. People still don't get why I named this podcast this, and let me tell it yet again if you are unaware. So it is called Some of My Jokes Don't Land, and there's a reason behind it. When does your joke doesn't land? When you speak of something which is completely insane and completely stupid, and something that people don't know about. And that exactly what happens. Every time I speak to people and let's say I crack a joke sometimes and they don't know it because it's very weird or very niche. And I thought that, hey, my jokes are not landing if I carry on this way. Literally, that was my thought. I should speak about more relatable stuff. But I thought, let's just turn it around and talk about these weird stuff that I want to talk about, and that's why this podcast came. I don't know why I got into this. I think every time during the mid of the podcast I start a self-therapy session, and it happened last time also. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, so that was basically David Blaine and Dynamo. Moving on to another great magician whose work I am very, very proud of to have witnessed. I haven't witnessed it live, but I want to witness it live someday. It's just Derren Brown. I remember how I said I didn't used to like Mentalism. I saw this one video of his with Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry I absolutely love. He's one of the most hilarious people and also smart people on this planet, I believe. And there's this great trick of Derren Brown sitting in a restaurant with him, and they're casually talking. He asks Stephen Fry to think of a card, and he gets the card from his cigarette butt or something. I think that was a trick. I don't remember it, to be really honest, but that was it. I remember being blown away that I hated Mentalism because it's like, I'm thinking of a card, I'm hypnotizing you. Those are the basic cliches I had seen. Then I saw his work and I was blown away. Recently, I'm giving you the recommendations right now. Go to Netflix, search for this series, his comedy, his magic special known as The Push. It's extremely mind-boggling, and this is what happens when you take, like I said, you can influence human movement or human decision making by the use of magic. The whole concept of this show or this special is that he has one night where he has set up things, and his whole motive of this setup is that he has to convince a guy to commit a murder. That's it. He's a mentalist. He's going to create a situation where a guy might or might not actually murder someone, or at least thinks he's murdering someone. It's really interesting. I would suggest you see it. It's called The Push. I think he also has another one known as The Apocalypse, where he makes a guy believe that there's an apocalypse going on. And these are heightened sense of mentalism I've ever seen. It's not like hypnotizing someone, making somebody think of a card. It's making somebody think that the world is going to end and creating a scenario around it. I think that's the greatest thing I've ever seen, to be honest, about magic recently. So that was it. Another thing he did was that I remember there's a special that he had where he basically I think he turned a Republican or a basically a MAGA hat wearing guy. I don't know what he was. I think he belonged from Texas or somewhere. I don't remember now. But he made him change his heart towards another person who he didn't like or something. Who he shouldn't have liked given his stereotype. But by just doing good things by positive reinforcement. He made this guy do it, and the guy was completely unaware that he was being part of this. He was shocked to find out that he has changed because of these things and how he was doing mentalism on him. And it's absolutely brilliant. This is one of the best things I've seen, so please check it out. I think you'll find him on Netflix. The name is Darren Brown, not Dan Brown, obviously. Okay, so that was basically all of the things that I really like. Now coming to a very important thing, or important duo that I can't believe I hadn't seen for a very long time. I had never heard of Penn and Teller before 4 years ago, to be really honest, and I'm ashamed. I don't know why, but I'm ashamed, because Penn and Teller are greatest magic performers of all time. They're basically a duo of a guy who does great sleight of hand work, a guy who does juggling stuff, and this guy who does sleight of hand, he doesn't speak. I'm pretty sure you have seen their show Fool Us. I think they're the longest performing act in Las Vegas, and I only got to know of them because of this show. Now for a very long time, I think they have been considered to be the best, and their show is amazing. If you are into magic or if you love magic, please check their show out. And it's one of the greatest formats that I have seen. The format of the show is that they are magic greats, and new magicians have to come and try to fool them, and if they can fool them, they get an award and they get to perform with them on their stage, on their show in Las Vegas. And the amount of stuff you see, amount of stuff they do to fool each other is just amazing, because people create and invent magic just to fool Penn and Teller, and it's really interesting to see. I think till date, like I said, seeing somebody be amazed, or seeing greats be amazed by a magician's tricks, is great. It's like, imagine singing in front of a great singer that you admire, and that person says, "Wait, I have no idea how you did it. I have absolutely no idea how it happened." I think it would change their lives. And that show is something that is very addictive. Every time I get a chance, I see that show. And Penn and Teller has a great masterclass. If you want to learn magic, Penn and Teller genuinely have a great masterclass that I would recommend you guys, if you can buy it. I downloaded it from a place, I won't say, but it's great, so check them out. Yes, so I was talking about Penn and Teller. Like I said, Penn and Teller are really hilarious, to be honest. Their comedy magic is great. Their onstage stuff is breathtaking, to be really honest. Like, I've seen videos, but the way they explain the way the entire performance goes, I think it's probably one of the best things you will see. I want to see all of them live someday if I get the money to travel the world. I would like to take a trip around the world to see all the magicians, because I'm fascinated by them. And like I said, I really love magic. It's something that gives me goosebumps, and it brings out that kid in me again, because like I said, brings back memories. Okay, right now what I'll do is, it's very embarrassing, to be really honest, but as a kid I used to perform magic, to be really honest, for myself and for the camera. And there are a few silly card tricks that I found out on my video feed, on my Google Photos, and that's why I thought of doing this podcast, because I remembered how much I was into magic and how much I love magic. So if you are seeing this on video, please, right now I'll be showing you the clips, so here you go, come on. Yes, I know. They're very embarrassing. I don't know what I was thinking. At least I was trying and doing something new. I was always very creative, and I always wanted to do stuff and perform. And even now, to be really honest, I still learn magic. I still learn to do tricks, because it really helps me. Because it keeps me focused. Like I was saying before, during this lockdown, I was learning tricks and stuff. And it has really helped me a lot with various things. First of all, it has helped me to keep away from the phone. I don't know if you have this habit, but I have this very bad habit of watching something on the laptop and being on the phone at the very same time. I have no idea. I love watching movies, and the day I did it while I was watching a very favorite movie of mine, I thought that this is the worst thing I've done because I'm not paying attention to the movie. And imagine if it's a movie you're seeing for the first time, you won't appreciate it that way. I'm very particular about these stuff. I know this might sound silly for a few people who purely consider films and stuff to be entertainment, but because I want to be in this field, it's kind of like education. I have to learn from them as well. Anyway, not being a bore like that, but that's the thing. I realized that I was not paying attention to that, and it has become a fixation. Like I need something on my hand and do something. And I started learning this trick called the one hand shuffle. It's very, very hard to do. I was trying to do it for like 3 years, and it's one of the biggest achievements of this lockdown that I have able to perform. I currently can't do this because I have broken all the decks of cards that I had in my home. I've broken 9 decks of cards. It's too much. I'll probably buy another deck very soon, but for a very brief period of time now, I'm not using anything. But what that helped me do was that there are multiple things I had to do during this lockdown. I had to make a animation scene, I had to make a film, I had to make this podcast, and during the planning and task process also, I found out that I was very much into my phone and I was being very distracted, as I'm pretty sure it's a common epidemic for our generation as well. But if I was doing those things, I immediately was paying more attention to the main work, and it was also helping me with my fixation of my hand, and it was also helping me practice. And that's why actually so many of the decks stored, because I was basically performing. Now the concept of one hand shuffle I saw at many places. It's a great trick, you have seen it many places, I'm pretty sure, but it's a pure show off move. It never helps in anything, but it looks great. And what happened was that I saw this magician known as Richard Turner on Fool Us, and he's a blind guy, but he has so accurate sense of feelings on his hand, like in the sense that he can feel very, very accurately. He can feel how many cards he's picking up. He can count them with his fingertips. He's that sensitive, and he was doing it very brilliantly, and I really, really, really liked that. So I thought I have to do it. Now this trick I saw like 3 years ago, and I always thought I couldn't do it because I had very small hands. Probably, I don't know. Obviously I don't, because I can do it very nicely now. It was just in my head, but it's a very difficult trick to do. I'll put a clip of that right now for anybody saying that I have perfected like in the last 3 months, if you are interested. So that would come here now. Yeah, so basically, I know it's not a big thing, but it has helped me focus on many other things. I don't know if that helps, but magic is something I always turn to whenever I'm feeling very bored. I want to chill out, I want to learn something new. I usually do those Blender things where I render stuff, but if I'm not feeling for that also, I try to learn a magic, or I do these things. Also, to be really honest, I feel it looks very cool. It looks very dope, because whenever I perform, like I said, it's very addictive performing for people, and being very intriguing to people at times. That can be very addictive, like I said, and that got me really, really into it. Like I wanted to learn more tricks and be more good at it, basically. Like everything, if you are good at something, you always tend to learn more so that you can become better. And that was my journey with magic, basically. I don't want to perform on stage, like I said. I just want to do it for my friends so that they can be intrigued, and so that it can be joyful for them and for me as well. I think that was all I wanted to speak about my journey of magic. Now for recommendations part, guys. Recommendation part, I think there are very, very popular magic related films that you guys already know of, and I'm probably going to suggest the same. But if you get a chance, please look up for these magic specials that I was talking about. Each of them are actually, like I said, the David Copperfield stuff. Each of them are their own individual specials, like escaping from Alcatraz, disappearing the Statue of Liberty. These are all things. And even David Blaine and Dynamo and Aaron Brown, like I said, have their own specials. So please go and check them out. In India, To be really honest, the only magicians that I have seen on TV are PC Sarkar. I know of a magician from Gujarat known as K. Lal, who I think is very popular in the local circuit. And currently, I think if you see Karan Singh Magic, I think he streams also now. And you see Suhani Shah, she is also a magician who streams. I know this because I follow Samay Raina and they are his friends, and they are pretty good actually. I haven't seen them magic very much, but they look like good people. I hope their magic is great. And I don't know if I can recommend them because I don't know what they are. Yogesh Sarkar's Third Degree is a great show. It has built my childhood. Foundations of my life are based on this show, to be really honest, because he was basically trying to emulate Criss Angel, to be really honest. I think he later developed out of the style, but I think imitation is a sense of flattery, and I think anybody who was seeing magic for the first time would always imitate anything they would find cool, and he just incorporated it in his own style. Currently, I think he has grown out of it. He has a great trick that I later found out that you can buy actually, where he would touch people and he would give them shock, and it was very, very insane. I wanted to do it, so check his workout if you want. And let's talk about films. Okay, let's talk about magic related films. First of all, 2 films, Now You See Me 1 and 2. I don't like them very much, to be really honest. The first one is okay. Second one is really bad. The second one that has that cool dope scene that got really popular. And I really like that scene actually, to be honest, because that scene incorporates realness and fakeness equally. What magic movies tend to do is that they would talk about magic and do CGI bullshit and not do real magic, and that is very, very heartbreaking. Let's say for that scene that I'm talking about in the second Now You See Me 2, where they basically pull up a heist inside a closed space, and they have to take this chip that looks like a card obviously, and they have to manipulate it from one person to the other. And there are few tricks that they have done which is genuinely sleight of hands, and that is great. I really like that. But there are moments where they have just used CGI, and that just takes me out of that experience. As a magic fan, as a CGI enthusiast, I would say, which I am, I would say that's great. But as a magic fan, that obviously takes me out of that place. Similarly, they have done other stuff where they've used so much of, let's say, artificial fakeness. There's a scene in the first film where I think Elsa Fisher, I think she was there. Yeah, Elsa Fisher. She's married to Sacha Baron Cohen, apparently. I feel so. Yes. yes, she is. So she gets into this bubble, and that bubble starts flying, and that will never happen in real life. So if you're making a movie about magic, at least don't take the audience out like that. I feel you shouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. I don't know. Anyway, but it's basically they are heist movies performed by magicians, so I don't blame them. 2 great movies that you can see are The Illusionist and Prestige. Obviously, I think everybody knows of it. The Illusionist is good, but Prestige is just brilliant. Obviously, Nolan does brilliant stuff. He also has a bit of exaggeration, like I am pretty sure there's Nikola Tesla bit. Everybody that knows Nikola Tesla helps Hugh Jackman build a cloning machine, which will never happen. But at least things are based around reality in this film, and there are real good moments. So check that out. I really liked The Prestige. Dhoom 3 blatantly copied that thing, which everybody knows the secret at the end. I won't spoil it. But yeah, The Illusionist is great actually, because it takes you back in that time, pretty much like The Prestige, but it has a deeper sense of meaning. I feel I really enjoyed it. There's a great trick in that film known as the orange tree, which is actually a real trick. In the film they used CGI for it, but there's an actual trick performed by a magician called Robert Houdini, or Houdin, I don't know his name, known as the orange tree, where basically a tree, in the film they have shown a tree growing from a seed and then oranges come out. There's an actual trick like that. Only difference is that the tree is there and the oranges come out, and I think then butterflies fly a ring that is borrowed from the audience. That is the trick basically, and it's great. I think you should check it out. And I think that was it. Those were the recommendations. Check out the specials that I was talking about, the magic specials about Derren Brown, like I said. And these are the recommendations for this week. Music recommendation I won't give because I don't know what to give related to this topic, and also because I haven't been traveling much. I haven't been listening to new music, but I think this is okay. We'll come back next week with another great episode. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a guest episode. I won't be putting too much. No, it's going to be a guest episode, to be very, very honest. And then the last episode of this season is going to come out, which I'm very excited about, because I've been prepping for that one for like 2 weeks already, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be great. I think if you follow me on social media, I've already given a spoiler about it, but it's about movies. It's about Indian movies, like I had already said. And I think that's it, guys. I think I'll leave you with that information as of now. And thanks for joining in again. Tell me if you like this. Please like it, share it, subscribe everywhere you can. We are available on everywhere. Literally every audio streaming platform I'm there. Also on YouTube. The video is going on YouTube. If you're listening to me on any audio platform, let it be Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, anything, iTunes, please write a review, leave a like, share it to somebody. It really helps. And that's it, guys. That's it from today's episode. Today's episode was all about magic. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be coming back next week. I have to, because I have to end this podcast this year itself. I'll be coming back with another exciting guest episode. And till then, bye bye. Have a great time. This was me, Ayan Pathak. You were listening to Some of My Jokes Don't Land. Bye bye.